Hello, everyone, and welcome to 92 and Pike, our weekly show where we play some fun games and chat with some cool people in the tech community. I'm Chloe Condon, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Brandon Minnick. Woo!
Hey, Chloe. So good to see you again. Happy
Good
Thursday.
to see ya. Happy Thursday. You know, this show is really my anchor each week to remember what day it is because I don't leave my house. And Thursdays reminds me that, it's time to do 92 in Pike. So thank you for reminding me of the day of the week.
Yeah, it's like gotta put on pants today. Gotta do my hair. Gotta look good for the people.
Gotta look presentable. I will say that my skin is a big fan of quarantine, not having to put on makeup every day. But today, we have a special guest. I would like to welcome Christopher Harrison to 92 and Pike. Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh my goodness. Andrew wearing a Pinky in the Brain t-shirt. Amazing. I'm super sad that I missed the Pinky in the Brain Q&A at Sketchfest. I was actually at Microsoft Ignite the tour in Prague at the time, but it sounded like it was a very cool event.
That's awesome. There was an interview that was floating around with one of the voices from Pinky and the Brain. I can't remember what his name is. And one thing that just like warmed my heart is the fact that he's always happy to do the voice whenever anybody asks. He's like, hey, this just brings people joy. Why wouldn't I do this whenever I get the opportunity? So I love that. That was like a real heartwarming moment to know that.
I'm a podcast nerd, and I believe there's an interview with him on Raised by TV that's wonderful and incredible. He's voiced so many wonderful cartoons that I grew up with. Yeah, I mean the original kind of like duo.
yeah, exactly.
What else did he do?
Oh my gosh, he's voiced so many things. I'm blanking on every single one of them right now. But
yeah, I could stop and go fire up Wikipedia and remember everything. But yeah, he did a fair bit. What I also really loved about like Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs was the fact that the comedy was definitely like a higher level because I was probably like 16 or 17 when that came out. So probably on the older edge of people that were watching it. And I still laughed my head off. Like it was just really smart humor.
Absolutely. If you can't tell from my hair, I'm a huge Nickelodeon fan. And I recently went down. So I think during quarantine, we've all gone down like weird YouTube rabbit holes. I've said previously on the show, I went down a Disney ride rabbit hole for a little bit. And I was rewatching a bunch of old Nickelodeon shows and came to the realization that so much of this content formed who I am as a person. So my hair just turned to this color. It's wild.
You just woke up one day and there it was.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I've turned into the Kids' Choice Award. So Christopher, tell the people at home who you are, what you do. We're, of course, coworkers with you, but tell us about yourself.
Yeah, who am I? So I am, I'm Christopher Harrison. I'm not Chris. I'm a Christopher. And I'm currently a program manager inside of Cloud and AI, academic ecosystems, and I'm sure there's like 6 other orgs in that chart as well. But in a nutshell, what I do is help students get up and running on Azure with a real focus in on WebDev and on cloud and AI. So that involves creating a lot of content, that involves being on camera a fair bit. It involves like building some tooling, going out to hackathons and seeing what all of these really, really smart kids build, which is just mind-boggling to me.
It makes me like so... My heart gets so full with the projects and amazing things that these students build. And then I realize these people are going to be my boss someday. They're so smart and wonderful and intelligent, these students. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They really are. So that's basically what it is that I do.
Amazing. And you also do a live stream as well, correct?
Yeah, I do a fair bit of live streaming as part of the reactors. So I do a lot of like web content. I've done a lot of like Django and Flask. I love Django. the number of people who basically just have to shut me up from talking about Django is innumerable. I'm a huge Django fan. I love programming in Python. I love programming in TypeScript, and so I love being able to like do various videos and share all of that out. So that catalog is just like ever growing these days. So
I'll have to
yeah,
bug
I don't
you
have like a
about
regular
Django.
schedule. What's that?
I'll have to bug you about Django because during Hackbright, our program like briefly touched on it and I was like, wait, I want to learn more about that.
Yeah. Django is it's amazing because like in 6 lines of code, 7 lines of code, you can actually have like a fully functional CRUD application, and with like 5 more lines of code, you can also like add in authentication. It's a fantastic framework. I'm a huge fan of Django.
And Christopher, I feel like we met at a conference in Canada like a year ago or something, face to face anyway.
Yes. Yeah, real briefly. Yeah, this was Kanfu.
Yes.
And I was doing a session on TypeScript, and I want to say you were doing an AI session.
I think mine was on my fake boyfriend app because I was walking around with my little button.
Yes. Yeah. So back in Montreal.
And we were like, oh, we're coworkers, and we both have a shared love for Python. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, my heart is always, nowadays I kind of get to touch a lot of different programming languages, which is kind of the beauty of Azure. But my heart is always with JavaScript and Python because Hackbright was completely JavaScript and Python. It absolutely blew my mind of all the incredible things I can build. I'm still in awe of I check the New York Times a lot, and so many of their really cool data visualization APIs that can be done with Python, just absolutely, oh my gosh. So when I heard you were doing this Python, oh my goodness. I mean, at least back when we had learned it, they were showing us some of the libraries and tools that they had used to build it, and were encouraging us to use it in some of our projects. My project was they're so cool. There's one all about coronavirus right now where when you scroll, it shows like all the data of cases and zooms in and out and shows numbers. I'm a very visual person, if you couldn't tell. Everything in my life is very visual. So having those, like, it's one thing to read data on a page and just be like, oh, 200, 300, whatever. But to see like visuals zoom in and zoom out is just, I love all the cool, what we're able to do with technology and machine learning and data visualization is like,
yeah. The Times does a lot of great stuff in that space.
Well, I think it's time for us to do one of our favorite segments on the show. Today we are doing 2 truths and a lie. Ooh. I promise to not trick everyone. There's actually a lie this time. Last week we had 3 truths, no lie. So I am going to read the headlines of 3 different articles, and the 2 of you have to guess which one is the lie out of these 3. And it's all tech news that I found that has happened in the last couple of weeks. So I'll start with the first one. The first article headline is "A fake app hyped on Twitter turned into a fundraiser for racial justice causes." And the byline here is "A meme that leveraged the relentless hype of exclusive apps and redirected it towards critical social need." So it sounds like a viral app that did some social good. Headline number 2. New Hamilfun app allows you to test your Hamilton lyric accuracy. As we all know, Hamilton came out on Disney Plus over the long weekend, so a relevant app there. And then
was just giving me a hard time because obviously we watched Hamilton now that it's out, and yeah, the songs are so catchy they get stuck in my head, but each song has probably 1 million words in it.
Oh my
and
goodness,
so I'm just kind of like mumbling along and singing the words I know. And she's like, you can't sing the song unless you know all the words. I'm like, nobody knows all the words. It's impossible.
Right? Well, there used to be a drag club here in San Francisco that had, I think it was Hamiltunes, where it was sing along live to the Hamilton karaoke. So maybe someone just built an app of it.
That sounds epic.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I'm so excited for things to open up again so I can go to fun drag events like that again. Oh, and third article here is Japanese app Tuna Scope uses AI to grade the quality of fish.
Tuna Scope. Okay.
I'll repeat them again. First one is a fake app hyped on Twitter turned into a fundraiser for racial justice causes. New Hamilfun app allows you to test your Hamilton lyric accuracy. And Japanese app Tuna Scope allows AI to grade the quality of fish. Who wants to go first? Who wants to guess?
Ooh, these are tough.
I swear I've heard of the Tuna Scope or something similar to that.
Okay.
I swear I remember reading something about a Japanese company that had been doing something AI and fish related. So I'm going to say that one is true.
I think Jeremy Piven could have used that one when he was eating all that tuna and had to drop out of that Broadway show. Deep cut for Broadway fans. My dad will appreciate that one. Hi, Dad.
That's a deep cut.
And his fantastic mustache.
Mm-hmm.
The app one about turning into crowdsourcing sounds just plausible enough. The Hamilfun, see, the problem is that Chloe, you're the one that's asking this question.
That is true.
So
Exactly.
if you are going to set up a distractor, that sounds like absolutely one that you would set up. So that's I'm going strictly based on the person who asked the question. That's the one I'm going to go.
What about you, Brandon?
This week's really tough because I want all three to be real. And so I know you explicitly said that this is 2 truths and a lie this week, that there's no trick questions. So I'm going to be disappointed when I find out which one's not real. But man,
that is true. It was a giveaway that one week where I said the Lance Bass one and it was the lie. Speaking of which, I've got some props here. Shout out to Julie who sent me this. Justin Timberlake is gonna be my marionette. Sorry, distracting you with some insane.
This is tough. So I'm kind of with Christopher on this. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, if Chloe's making up the lie, Hamilfun seems right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't you asking the question, I would lean towards the first one.
Okay.
But when you were introducing that headline, you also gave its byline. And I don't know if we're at the point in 2 truths and a lie where your lies now have a headline and a byline.
I'm taking notes on all of this. So for the next ones, I throw you off.
But of course, isn't there something about when somebody's lying, they're more prone to give you more detail than if they're telling the truth?
Ooh, maybe.
Wow.
I'll tell you what.
We should build AI that can tell when I'm lying. That can use the Face API. Microsoft Face API can determine.
7 lines of code with Python.
Yeah, come
on. Man, so what I'm gonna do is Christopher already grabbed Hamilfun, and instead of doing the same answer, I'll go with the first one. The crowdfunding, it all sounds so plausible, and at the same time I want them all to be real. So brace for the letdown on when I find out which one's the lie.
I have great news for both of you. Christopher, you were right. The Hamilton one was the lie. But Brandon, I'm building the Hamilton one. So it's not a headline. It's just a project I'm working on. So I'm working with Azure. So we have a bunch of speech recognition APIs with cognitive services, and it's taking a really long time. Luckily, I'm not having to handwrite all of them because many people have written out the Hamilton lyrics. But I'm building an app where you can test your knowledge on it because I too I didn't watch the video. I've seen Hamilton 3 times because I'm an insane person. And I still do not know all the lyrics. So it's partially just to test test my own knowledge. But I'll give you a little information on these other two headlines. So the viral meme that leveraged a bunch of fundraising money was actually built by a friend of mine. I won't say her name because I don't know if she's wanting to remain anonymous, but the app is called It Is What It Is. You can look it up on The Verge. It's been featured in Mashable and a bunch of different articles. And it basically started out with a bunch of designers who, I believe designers who were hyping up this app. Someone made some app specs and posted it on there, made it seem like this very exclusive tech thing to be a part of. And actually it was a fundraiser for Black Lives Matter. So it was a really, really cool way to see viral marketing and exclusivity in tech be used for social good. And if you saw it, it was a couple weeks ago. It's the eye face eye emoji. And there were just like a lot of tech reporters really confused, being like, what is this? How do I get an invite code? When in reality, it was all money going to a really wonderful cause. And then the Japanese app Tuna Scope is real. It grades the quality of fish. If you look up the article on The Verge, you can actually see a picture of a tuna with a grade A on it. And it's a very, very real thing. So
does it grade the fish or does it grade the sushi? So if I got served sushi and it was really expensive because it was supposed to be this high-end restaurant, could I take a picture to authenticate that?
Maybe. That's a good question. So let's see. It says, from a single picture, the app grades the tuna on a 5-point scale based on visual characteristics like sheen of the flesh and the layering of fat. For an experienced fish grader, these attributes speak volumes about the sort of life the fish led, what it ate, and how active it was, thus resulting in the flavor. It reminds me of that Portlandia sketch where it's like, was the chicken, did it get a with the chicken? Is it nice to live a happy life? But now there's an app to do that. I feel like there's an app for everything now. Truly, we've got apps for all things.
Well, except lyrics.
Yeah. Well, someone's
we'll have
got
that
to
soon,
do it.
apparently.
Someone out here has got to build these apps. Great. Well, that was really fun. I need to get better at my lies and make bylines for all of them and throw them off tangents. I'm gonna get you. Okay. So, Christopher, our next segment is a little something that we like to call 8 bits. We ask the same 7 questions every time with an 8th bonus question. And this is a really, really fun way for us to get to know you, very similar to Inside the Actor Studio, except we're not really inside the actor studio. We're inside the Teams chat on Learn TV. So I will start with the very first question here, which is, what is your earliest memory of tech?
My earliest memory of tech. So I'm going to date myself here. My earliest memory of tech is back when my father brought home a VIC-20, which was one of the earliest personal computers. So it was just like a completely self-contained unit. You hooked it up to your TV, and of course you're talking like big 13-inch TVs with like little. They were like little U things, and you like screwed it on to the back of the TV, and that then became your monitor. The whole unit then was your computer. A little cassette deck to go along with that. That was really it. That was actually where I got started.
What were you able to do on it? Like word processing? Were there games at all?
Yeah.
Or?
So you were able to do some like real light word processing. You could do games on it. And that was actually really how I got my start and how I got my love of computers. Because that back then you could go out and buy like Byte magazine and a whole handful of others where inside of it, literally, it would contain all of the source code for a program or a game or something like that. So you would actually just take that and type out whatever was in there. So I remember spending, because my typing skills, of course, back then were just not real good. So I probably spent about like 3 or 4 weeks typing out all of the code for like a Donkey Kong clone.
Whoa.
And it was all in BASIC, and there was so little memory on the device that to do a print, it was obviously, print, but the shortcut was a question mark. You had to put everything in with a question mark, because if you typed out print, it was going to put it over the memory limit.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you had to just use question marks for everything. So I spent all of this time, putting this together, and then I had a Donkey Kong clone that I could then go ahead and play, and that was really my first experience. That was what launched my love of computers, of tech, and then in turn, that's what got me here. This is why I'm talking to you two fine folks, is all because of a VIC-20.
And when we're talking Donkey Kong clone, we're talking like the original like box, like platform game, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
and your little Mario, trying to run up and go rescue the princess from the big gorilla.
I love that.
Awesome.
We were just talking before we went live about this wonderful place in Oakland called The Maid, and they have the box of that there, and it's so much fun to play.
Yeah. I miss a good video arcade, and throwing in all my quarters and all of that. Yeah.
You got to build one. Just have that'd be a fun little. There was a weird side project that I'm sure I'll do eventually. My boyfriend will be very unhappy we have it in our house. But this is when I was in like middle school or maybe even elementary school, Pokemon Snap came out, which was this N64 game Pokemon Go, where you would your job was you were a photographer and you had to take really good photos of the Pokemon. But the photos that you took in the game, you could bring your like N64 cartridge to Blockbuster, put it in this device, and print out stickers of the photos that you took in the game.
Oh, really?
And it was, oh my God, it was incredible. And I was talking about this with someone recently, and I went onto eBay, and they sell like the original Blockbuster things, but I believe there's a tutorial online where using like a Raspberry Pi and a couple different things, you can make it yourself. And I'm just imagining a world in which I have like a Blockbuster, like print out your Pokemon Snap images in your living room. I'm sure Ty will be thrilled.
I think you have to do it.
I think I have to too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember that game because I wouldn't say I was huge into Pokemon, but when it first came out, I bought the game on Game Boy and caught them all. And
you gotta catch them all. That's the tagline. You got it.
Right. I even got Missigno. I don't know if anybody knows that one. It's basically a glitch in the game, but it was like, how many Pokemon were there? 150 in the original? Yeah. So he was like the 150 first Pokemon. And you could basically just crash the game when you caught him. Wow. But yeah, so I remember that camera game came out, and I was like, why would anybody buy this? Like, you can't even catch them. You can't even move. You're on a train that just moves around the island.
I'm a great photographer now.
And just taking pictures.
So it was basically the whole game was like you were on a theme park ride in different levels, and you took different photos, and sometimes you would have to like strategically throw a Pokemon ball at a certain thing to make the Pokemon come out of the bush and you were graded on how centered your photo was and if Pikachu was smiling. And then of course you got to print out these stickers, which I saw a meme on Lisa Frank Instagram this week that said, if as a child you hoarded all your stickers and never used them, congratulations, you now have anxiety as an adult, which is totally canon for me. And I don't think I ever put these Pokemon Snap stickers anywhere, but I begged my parents to go to Blockbuster all the time, print them out. I'm sure they're in a box somewhere in this apartment. But I never bought Pokemon Snap.
I was going to say one more thing.
Yeah, go for it, please.
Speaking of YouTube rabbit holes that you mentioned earlier,
yes.
I've been down a bunch, but one of them was a video game speedrunning rabbit hole. Okay. And if you're not familiar with speedrunning, it's basically who can beat the game the fastest.
Yeah.
And there's literally leaderboards and like rankings.
You just like run. Like, I feel like I used to do this with a certain level of Mario back in the day.
Pretty much. But there's people speedrunning Pokemon Snap.
What?
Yeah, it is fascinating.
That's fascinating because you can't control how fast you go. I love this. I love weird hobbies.
Right.
What a time to be alive.
Check it out.
We'll link it below. So our next question for you, Christopher, is what is the last piece of tech or hardware that you bought? This is always a tough question for everyone, even for me.
More than anything else, I think this is just simply going to show my procrastination level, because I had actually gone to look up the questions and I went, oh yeah, that's right, I need to come up with an answer for this, and I started thinking, then I couldn't come up with anything, and then that was about it. The last piece of tech that I bought,
for most folks,
probably,
it's honestly been streaming equipment.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that's probably it. Like the biggest true investment that I got was getting the lights that sit up there, the new camera, and all of that. So that's probably like the newest piece of tech that I wound up buying. So I'm absolutely going to buy a Duo, and that's not just because I'm a blue badge, but just because that device just looks amazing.
Wait, what's a Duo? Am I not remembering?
The Microsoft the Microsoft Duo, the new phone.
Oh yes. Oh
yes.
My goodness.
2 screens.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Duo. I'm Googling it. I need to see it. I'm Googling Microsoft Duo. I'm like, I need to see a visual.
Really?
Ooh. It looks like a little book.
Just like, obsessed with anything, any sort of a phone that opens or bends, he's obsessed with. So yes, I need to have one of those, like 2 screens, be able to open it up and like, be able to read a book on it or something like that. Yes.
It's so cute. I'm going to feel like Belle in Beauty and the Beast and be like,
yes.
reading my phone like I'm in a library. Speaking of folding phones, I probably should have saved this for Two Truths and a Lie, but there was a Pablo Escobar folding phone that came out that was just a rebranded gold painted phone that came with a picture of Pablo Escobar on it. I will link it in the show notes below. That was actually released, had a bunch of commercials and stuff. A bunch of people pre-ordered it and bought it, and it's wild. Folding phones are fascinating, and I'm super excited for Duo, which I just learned about. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Yeah,
I'm going to make mine a little cover that looks like a little dictionary or something. So cute. All right.
Go using Xamarin today. We have a whole dual screen library.
Whoa. Yeah, because that's a whole new thing developers are going to have to figure out how to build for. That's fascinating.
I am so scared. Mobile apps is hard enough already because you have to worry about iPhones, iPads, the different tablet sizes. Some Android tablets are landscape by default, some are portrait by default, and there's all these different things you have to keep in mind. And then this is just adding, okay, but what if there's 2 screens?
No, it's just preparing you, Brandon, for when it's all in our eyeballs or our glasses or something. It's like, a cornea, how do I do this?
And developers used to complain about having to worry about 2 different browsers.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
It feels that as technology exponentially changes and grows, the more tech, more problems, truthfully.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what technology do you love?
How geeky am I allowed to get?
So geeky, as geeky as you want.
Fantastic. Then the technology that I love is WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. So, and again, I am not saying this because I'm a blue badge. That I very much I go to whatever tech it is that works. And WSL is absolutely amazing. So for anybody who's viewing that's not already familiar with WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, it's, for want of an easier way to put it, it's sort of like Parallels, but it gives you that Linux environment inside of Windows. And so it's not like having to spin up a VM or a Docker image where you've got this very separate space and everything like this. It literally is that just behind the scenes, I've got Linux that's up and running. And then when I'm doing my development, because of course at the end of the day, like Node and Python, they're really just built for Linux. They just are. And so being able to do all my dev in Linux while still getting Windows is fantastic. So I do everything inside of there. When I want to open up Visual Studio Code, then it's just simply code space dot, and then it just opens up Visual Studio Code. You get this amazing seamless integration. The terminal window that you get inside of code will also use WSL. So it really is, it's that best of both worlds, that I get all of the great Linux tooling, and I get Windows as well. And then, of course, VS Code on top of that. So j'adore WSL.
Oh my gosh, you just gave me an idea for a song parody, Best of Both Worlds by Miley Cyrus from Hannah Montana, but it's about WSL. I'm going to have to make that. I'm also in the process of thinking of lyrics for the song These Dreams by Heart, but doing it, these dreams are happening all the time, because that's our life these days, isn't it?
How's the world streams?
I have been having some crazy COVID dreams lately.
Ooh, yes, same.
Like the last 2 nights, I've just woken up in a daze. I'm like, what? What happened? Where did that even come from?
The simulation's getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, like things like Murder Hornets, the writers have clearly just given up. I mean,
it's getting a little too close to The Good Place. Like, I'm like, okay, just try not to copy from popular television at least. Come on.
The Good Place was probably one of the best shows ever on television. It did not get the love that it deserved. Karen and I just, we love that show. It's fantastic.
Are either of you watching Upload on Amazon?
No.
What's that?
I'm calling it Boy Good Place. My boyfriend's really liking it a lot. It's a little similar to Good Place, but deals a little bit more with simulation and like kind of what happens after your death if you're able to be uploaded. Your consciousness is uploaded to like almost like a death retirement community. Very fascinating kind of commentary on where technology is going with like the singularity and everything. But I'm calling it Boy Good Place because it's a main character who's a boy, and it reminds me a little bit of The Good Place in a way. I think it may also be Mike Schur. Don't quote me on that, but it's the same kind of group of folks and comedians. So definitely check it out. No, not Ted Danson, sadly. I'm trying to think who you'd know from it. It's a lot of new actors that I'm not familiar with, but I'm really enjoying it. So definitely check it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Next question. What technology do you hate?
Any technology at any given moment.
True. Printers. No one said printers yet. I'm surprised.
To print something out.
Oddly enough, I generally have pretty good luck with printers. So, yeah.
What magic spell did you cast on printers? I don't understand.
It took me 3 years to print something out in the Microsoft Office.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't figure it out.
Wild.
Well, the reason, so I have this basic philosophy that if I can get something to work, then I will always go back to that exact same set of steps that I went through to get it to work the first time. Like, I will never try anything new. Like, if this works, this is always the direction that I'm going.
Very engineer mindset of you, Christopher.
Gotta wear my red shirt.
And that's it. So the last printer that I set up, I wound up, having a fight with it for like 2 hours to get it set up. But now that I've like got all that done and I know exactly lifting my left leg and doing all of that to make sure that like the stars align. Do
a seance. Yeah. Yes. The whole thing.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Then I do exactly that, and I always get the same result at the end, even if it just makes no logical sense.
I think I need to have an exorcism for our printer because it's always when I'm in a time crunch, I need it right away. So whatever you're doing, continue to do it.
I probably, if I was truly going to say like hate, and hate's a strong word.
It is a strong word.
A lot of it will just sort of go in waves as to whether or not I hate something. But it'd probably be my phone. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, obviously I love the convenience. I love being able to listen to podcasts and access like literally the entire world from it. But at the same time, that lack of disconnect, that ease of access to things like social media, which again I have very much a love-hate relationship with. is definitely there. I've done a lot of things to help make that relationship healthier between me and my phone. I'm talking about it like it's a person. So
Set boundaries.
Yes, exactly. Like I've uninstalled Facebook, I've uninstalled Twitter. When the edict came out to register your phone with Intune, I went, oh, okay, that's a fantastic excuse now for me to just remove Outlook and Teams from my phone, and all of that. So that's certainly helped, but I still have this like love-hate relationship with it.
Notification anxiety is so real. Like
yes.
I actually really, I've been meaning to do this myself, but a coworker of ours, Jasmine, has two separate, I think an iPad for all of her work notifications, and then her phone is kind of her personal thing. And I'm on the same page. It's I get so many things from my phone, and I would be lost without my phone. I remember when I moved to San Francisco, I think I had a BlackBerry, and this was before like we had really good navigation tools, and I would have been completely lost without the maps on it. And back in the day, for some of the students watching, you had to type in the crossroads and the address of where you were. It wouldn't just hone in on where you were on the phone. So learning how to navigate Muni and the train and everything, I would have been completely lost without it. But I've become way too dependent on it to the point where if I go out for a walk or something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be hands-free with my phone. I'm like, wait, I need to like unlock my door and like all these things that I rely on my phone for now. So I could not agree more. But that Duo, though, you're going to be able to close it like a little book.
Yeah. See, there you go. So obviously I do like love the phone and love being able to use it, but at the same time, it's yeah.
I think my dad would agree with you. Like he's learning how to use his phone, and there's certain things he loves about his phone, but there's times when he wants to throw it across the room too. So yeah. Well, something I want to get better at using that my boyfriend has been encouraging me to do is Android has some really, really cool features, kind of mindfulness app that will help you. It'll turn your phone kind of notifications off and turn it to black and white at a certain point. And also it tells you like, hey girl, you were on Twitter for 5 hours today, like chill out. Kind of keeps you mindful of that. And once I started to kind of look at that data, I was like, oh yeah, maybe that's why I'm not getting around to these 500 other side projects I would rather be doing. So you got to get a healthy relationship with phones. It's diff. Our next question is, what other profession would you want to attempt?
In a prior life, if you will, I really wanted to be a pilot. I love flying. I'm a bit of an aviation dork.
I could see the outfit, like the captain hat.
The wings, the hat, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, absolutely. No, I really wanted to learn how to fly. I really wanted to go off and be a pilot. I played more hours of flight sim.
I was just going to ask,
than I care to admit. I am so jazzed for the new flight sim that's going to be coming out. Cannot wait for that to drop. And yeah, like the reason that I know the phonetic alphabet was one of the versions of flight sim wound up actually having like air traffic control that was part of it. And so you then, of course, had to know the phonetic alphabet. And so that's like one of the big reasons that I know it was just because like playing flight sim and things like that. So yeah, I really wanted to be a pilot.
I never have played flight sim. I feel like this is like a whole part of my life that I've missed, but I've been, if you all watch Silicon Valley that used to be on HBO, Thomas Middleditch, the main character from there, is actually, he does a bunch of piloting and flying and whatnot. And he's been doing a lot of simulation games and stuff on his Twitch channel. So I'm like, he also did I want to say like a train track simulation or something where he was like, but that's just a whole thing that I've somehow managed to not touch at all. It sounds like, Brandon, you've played it a bunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I played the original one back in the day. I remember the only plane I could actually take off and land with was called this. Let's see if I get this right. It's like Stop with Camel. It's like the old biplane.
Yep.
because the jets are so hard. Like you jump into 747, you have to know all the buttons to flip and like how to throttle up and pull up the flaps.
It
Whereas
sounds
like
scary to me.
it's intimidating. Like I could start in the air. So like sometimes you could start in the air with a Learjet and like fly that around. But yeah, when it came time to like land it, I would just turn the game off.
I'm also like
awesome.
really bad at drones, so I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm just scared of damaging equipment. Like like even when I play Mario Kart and I like crash, I'm like I'm sorry. So maybe I should stay away from it for a little bit.
But do you
Rainbow
also
Road.
apologize to the people that you throw shells at?
That's true. Yeah, I'm just like too empathetic to play these games. I'm just playing Animal Crossing all the time. And look out for my new Animal Crossing video coming out later. Ding. That's true. Next question we have is, what profession would you not want to attempt? It's a tough one.
It is.
I've had a lot of the professions that I would not want to attempt, so this is an easy one for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason why I'm sort of like hesitating is because it is sort of like just like a negative thing, and I don't want to necessarily say, hey, I'm bashing on it, but at the same time, there's also just like a lot of things that I just know that I'm not really good at.
Sure.
That I don't have.
I could not be a
whatever it is that
professional
skill
dancer.
is. Yeah.
I used to skip out on all the dance auditions when I did musicals. I was like, I'm busy, but I did Hairspray twice. Bye. Like,
yeah. Like I guess the one thing that that I don't think I would be happy doing, and again, it very much is just because I don't have the skill set, which is also then in turn why I think these people deserve a lot more money and a lot more respect than they get, is doing any form of like web design, CSS, things like that. Like I know just enough CSS to explain the basics and to do like some basic layout and anything like and things like that. But anything beyond just like a basic layout, I'm going straight to Bootstrap just because it's got my back. Like it gets me,
The fine tuning can drive you mad with CSS.
Exactly. And so watching some of the things that people who are really good at it are able to do truly boggles my mind. And it's just it's not something that I would be happy doing because I just don't have whatever that gene is. And so thus in turn for anybody who's watching this and is also on Twitter and is bad mouthing anybody who does CSS or any design, stop it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a skill. And yeah.
There's been some really wonderful websites and just like things that personal websites where when you scroll around, the eyes of the person will follow it. Also, my manager, Jen Looper, did a really cool talk at Build that was how to make your own CSS terrarium. We'll link it below. But there's just such cool like artistic-y stuff. It's been on my list forever to just kind of play a little bit more with it because it's very crafty, it feels like, kind of like artsy. But I love all the cute CSS animations that are out there. But I'm in awe of it. I'm just like, how did you do this with code? How is it moving? This is crazy.
Yeah. Some of the things that, like, if you go on a code pen and some of the things that they highlight on there just boggles the mind. Yeah.
It is truly an art, and I bow down to those people for sure.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what technology do you wish existed from film or TV?
So for this one, so Karin is my wife, and I'm going to steal Karin's idea here, which is she really wishes that teleportation existed. She loves to travel. We both love to travel. But like the journey itself, she's not necessarily into. So I love road trips. What's that?
So for Karin, it is about the destination, not the journey.
Yes, exactly. It's not about the journey. Like I love road trips. The last couple of years, I've gone out for like a 2-week road trip all by myself. Like I just love I love every bit of the whole thing.
Do you like tourist traps? Like little side of the road stuff?
I will sometimes do that, not near as often as I should, but I will sometimes do that. Yeah. I also like try to find like little restaurants and things like that. Because that's like half the fun, we're going off and seeing different things. Yeah, absolutely. So, but Karn is very much just wants to be there. So yeah, she wants teleportation.
She should get like the I Dream of Genie, like boom, like
yes.
feeling of that. I think that was one of my favorite. Other than our when my boyfriend and I, we were really lucky. We both got to do a NASA social event in Florida last year, and there were a bunch of wonderful fun facts that we learned about NASA. But my top two favorite were, number one, our tour guide was an extra in Sharknado, blew my mind because they filmed it at NASA. And number two is the entry, or is it I Dream of Genie? The husband is a NASA engineer or something. It's either I Dream of Genie.
Patrick's Air Force Base.
Yes, and they're like, and that's the place where the intro to I Dream of Genie. And I was like, I've learned so many things about the CAD and all this technical stuff, but these are my two takeaways.
I used to drive by that building all the time because it's right on A1A.
Yeah.
And I used to run the Brevard County water polo team.
Oh.
And would have to drive up to Cocoa Beach for water polo practice and go right by Patrick's Air Force Base. And get to see that building all the time.
I'd be like, like blast it from there. All right. And this is a special question, which may be a little inside baseball, but we'll explain it to Brandon. Christopher, would you rather be 9 people's favorite thing or 100 people's 9th favorite thing? This, of course, is a lyric from Title of Show, a musical that Christopher and I both have a special connection to. But which one would you rather be, Christopher?
I'd much rather be 9 people's favorite thing.
Obviously.
Yes, without a doubt.
So Christopher and I have this shared love for this musical called Title of Show, which is a musical about 2 guys writing a musical about 2 guys writing a musical. It's very meta. And Christopher actually saw the original Broadway production. I'm very, very jealous.
We happened to be like walking through Broadway, and we were just going to pick up tickets from TKTS, and somebody who was handing out flyers goes, "Hey, there's the show." We literally never talk to anybody that's handing out flyers because why would you? And so describe the show just like that. And we were like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's go check it out." And we had no idea of the background. That we come to find out later that this is a show that really had started from humble beginnings and kind of worked its way up and managed through just sheer will to find its way onto Broadway.
True underdog story. They started at the New York Fringe Festival, and they literally the musical is about making the musical, and each time they did the musical, each iteration included the previous time they had done the musical. Just mind blowing. Yeah.
And so when we got there, it was literally the first night that it ever ran on Broadway. And so we had seats way off to the side, and everybody that was there was just huge followers and fans of this. And so first note that they sing, and the entire place just explodes. We had no idea what was going on. Yeah, and then we became we just went right along with it and just became huge fans of it, because it really is. Even if you're not a huge Broadway or a huge musical fan, it's so much just about sticking with it and fighting through barriers and just being yourself in a real world way. And it's fantastic. Die Vampire Die.
Yes, I was just gonna say that was my original introduction to imposter syndrome, although they never name it that in the musical. But there's essentially this song called Die Vampire Die that's all about people who critique your work and your art and who just need to shut up and mind their own business. And it's so been my ballad, especially as someone who's always doing these quirky, weird projects.
Yes. Yeah. And then 9 people's favorite thing, which of course, Chloe, is what you called out, is then very much just being who you are, being true to yourself. And if you happen to be 9 people's favorite thing, that's much better than being everyone's 100th favorite thing. I see now. Or 100 people 9's favorite thing. But yeah.
That's interesting. Because when you first said it, I was thinking I'd probably like to be the 9th favorite because favorite seems like a lot of pressure. But the way you're talking about it, Christopher, where you are trying to become you have to change yourself to become their 9th favorite. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
You can do the song. The
That's a
song's
lot
great, explains all of it. Just
Yeah.
And also there's just so many things that Christopher and I at work will Teams message each other because there's a song where they're like filling out the form, and I'll be like, I'm filling out a form. Like
Yes.
one of those earworms that you just anytime you do the thing. But yeah.
We should link into the notes. They sent out basically like a whole bunch of words to the fans to do 9 people's favorite thing.
Yes.
And they then like strung that together, singing the song where they were showing all the various lyrics. And they had like, I want to say like Neil Patrick Harris was holding one of the cards, and then Sarah, why can I not think of her last name? Was also holding one of the cards. She's a comedian.
Sarah Silverman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She was also holding one of the cards. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Such a good show. And they've gone on to do such wonderful, incredible things. And I love it. And for quarantine, they actually did a fundraiser for the theater company that they originally did it at. And they did a fun little, variety hour with a bunch of celebrities. And it was just such a joy. All of my college years, I still text some friends from my college theater program lyrics. I'll be eating ground beef in a cup and I'll be like, this all sounds very crazy, Brendan. We'll link it below. People can find it online.
Yeah,
they're like, why is she eating ground beef out of a cup? She's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got 10 minutes left. And in the 10 minutes, we'll talk about ground beef. No, I'm just kidding. But I accidentally skipped a part at the beginning, but we'll just combine it in our plug section. What are y'all working on? What are some things that maybe piqued your interest this week or we should go check out? Do you want to start, Brandon? I also have a couple if you want me to start it out.
Yeah, I'll give a couple plugs and mostly shout outs, but I just was invited to speak. There's a Xamarin conference coming up next week. So I believe it's July 16th when it kicks off. Hopefully I've got the dates right, but it's called Xamarin Assemble. And what's really cool with this is it's virtual, but it's based out of Argentina. So a lot of the talks will also be in Spanish. Mine will be in English because it's on the to-do list, but I'm still not bilingual yet.
The Duolingo owl hasn't harassed you enough that you're not fluent.
Not working. Very aggressive. But yeah, so I'll be giving a talk all about how to create your Xamarin UIs in C# because that's something that is going to become more and more popular as the new versions of .NET come out with this cool new tool we have called .NET MAUI. It's got C# based UIs with an MVU framework. So we'll be kind of touching on all of this in my talk. And I'd say, speaking of foreign languages, I just launched a update to Git Trends, the mobile app of the show.
The official app of 92 and Pike.
That's right. Yeah. And so Git Trends is all open source. And I had a couple of friends reach out to say, hey, would you mind if I translated it into German, into Spanish? And that kind of snowballed. And so now it just hit the App Store today, if not yesterday. But yeah, it's got Bosnian, it's got Spanish, it's got French, it's got German, Dutch, Ukrainian, Russian, Portuguese, English.
Wow.
It's incredible. And it was all just done by the fellow developers in the open source community. So thank you to everybody who contributed. I am always open to adding more languages. So yeah, if anybody out there speaks multiple languages, wants to open up a pull request, just go to gittrends.com and check it out.
Git Trends, the trendiest app about Git. Ding. I just came up with a tagline for you. Very cool. And when is that conference, that Xamarin conference?
Next week. So it kicks off the next Thursday. We're recording this on July 9th. So next Thursday is July 16th.
Very exciting. I'm excited for that one. It's Brandon, the Xamarin man. Actually, the first time Brandon and I ever met, we did a video together at the last company I worked at, and we had all these Zatarans jokes in there because I'd never heard of Xamarin before. We'll have to link to that video as well.
The best part about that, we're recording this. And
Look Look at how far
We're talking
we've
about Zatarans, or we kept saying Zatarans, but we were talking about rice-a-roni. So
Yes.
we're making jokes like, Xamarin, it's the San Francisco treat.
We love rice on every content we do. I have a quick plug. My Hamel Fun app won't be available for a little bit, but I'm super, super excited about all the cool new automated machine learning stuff that's come out. There's some really, really cool like ways to easily build really, really accurate machine learning models that I've been playing around with. And you can check that out at aka.ms/machine dreams with a Z. I will link it below. I'm also speaking at the Powerful Devs event, which is all about amplifying citizen developers, and I'm giving a talk called How to Make AI Feel Less Like Sci-Fi. So just really, really easy ways that you can get up and running with AI with zero to little code. So definitely check that out. I believe we're streaming it on Learn TV, and there's some really awesome speakers lined up, including Scott Guthrie. So it should be really, really cool. Christopher, I know you've got some really exciting stuff coming out. Where can we take a look at that? Tell us all about your Python stuff.
Yeah, so currently in existence is the Python for Beginners series. There's actually 3 full series that I did with Susan Ibach, where we really just hone in on, hey, this is what the syntax is. So if you're already familiar with like basic programming concepts and you're just going, hey, I just want to like do something with AI, like, hey, I've seen all these great APIs that Chloe's been highlighting from the New York Times. I want to go in and play around with them. How can I do it? And so this will help get you up and running on that. And so we'll have that in the show notes below. I also want to call out not me, but coworker of mine, Sarah Guthels and
Hey,
Francesca.
Sarah.
And I can never remember Francesca's name, but to be fair, she's just simply Francesca. She's just that amazing. Yeah, exactly. Like she's a single name talent. She's just that fantastic. So Sarah Guthels and Francesca actually did a data science set of videos that are dropping today. So again, check out the show notes on that.
They would be some good guests for this show. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get them on here.
And then I'm actually doing C# Corner. Amy Boyd has actually been on that in the past. So they went like real bottom of the barrel and asked me to join as well. And so I'll be on there tomorrow talking about TypeScript. And then beyond that, you can check out the reactor streaming that we've been doing. We're currently streaming out on Twitch, and we've got some great TypeScript content that's going to be coming up. We've got some great bot content that's coming up at the end of I love chatbots. So at the end of this month, it's going to be a fantastic week. So I'm going to be interviewing 2 PMs from the Bot Framework team on Monday. On Tuesday, I'll be doing a session on building bots in the Bot Framework. On Wednesday, Jasmine Greenway is right. She's fantastic. So she's going to be doing a session on Lewis and NLP. And then on Thursday, I'm going to do a 2-hour, like, let's build a bot session. So sort of string all of that together and show you some best practices in building a chatbot. So
I'm going to watch all of these. I'm very excited. So, Lewis is magic. Lewis is not a person, by the way, for folks who are not familiar. It's technology. But I'm so excited for all of that. And what amazing guests.
What was the name of the Twitch channel again?
It is twitch.tv/Microsoft Developer. So we're currently streaming under the Microsoft Developer account. Yep.
I've even been on that before.
Yeah.
I was on the Microsoft Developer channel last week.
And also, fun little fact, I have started uploading all of the episodes of 92 and Pike and our 8-bit segments onto my personal YouTube page. So if you want to catch up, see any of the guests, maybe you want to like re-listen to some of the stuff Christopher was saying, you can check that out. I think it's youtube.com/c/Chloe Condon videos. So making playlists on there of all the fun stuff that we're talking about on here. We have all the show notes below if you missed anything that we said during this. So, all right, Brandon, we're at the point of the show again. I haven't thought of a tagline. We're going to workshop this. But we were talking to Christopher before, and he's been doing a welcome thing because we have folks from all over the world who watch this. So I'm going to point to you, wherever you are, to me. So this has been 92 in Pike. Thank you so much, Christopher, for joining us today. I'm so excited to check out all this amazing Python and bot content, and also to maybe play around and build my own Donkey Kong game. So no matter where you are, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good nap. I'm Chloe Condon, and this is
92 in Pike.
No, Brandon, this isn't your name. We gotta rehearse this. We'll rehearse.
Nailed it.
We'll do it. We'll do a rehearsal. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we will see you next week, Thursday at noon. Bye. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. We need to do some exit music. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.